What's good, YouTube? Bad Mike Jorp here. I've seen a few videos that are like, what if you could pick starters from the other types? But I decided to take it one step further because I'm a psychopath. What if all your 3 starter options had to have the same secondary type? You're still picking fire, water, grass, but they all have something in common. I've got a few rules before we start. They have to have the same number of evolutions. They have to have the chosen type from the start, or else I can't really count them. And no legends, mythicals, ultra beasts, paradoxes, megas, and non-permanent forms. So let's get this started with bug. Now bug is actually very easy. The only bug fire types are Sizzlipede and Volcarona, and the only water bug types are Dewpider and Gallisopod that stay water bug throughout the whole evolution line, meaning that the bug grass has to also be a 2-stage, where the only option is Paris. Now, Parasect is weak as shit, so we can't have Volcarona. And between Araquanid and Gallisopod, I chose Araquanid because Dewpider's BST was closest to Paris and Sizzlipede's. The bug starters are Paris, Sizzlipede, and Dewpider. Next is Dark. There are no grass dark types that start with Dark, already off to a stellar start. But if we look at the other two, Houndour and Carvanha, as the only real options, then if we start out with a Nuzleaf instead of a Seedot, the BST is actually comparable. So there you go. Our dark type starters are Nuzleaf, Houndour, and Carvanha. Up next is Dragon, where we do have to do another bit of cheating. There's only one non-mega, non-legendary fire dragon, being Turtonator. The other two have to be either a single stage or just the final evolution. Actually, that works out very well for water, because there's Tatsugiri, who is a single stage water dragon type. But grass has a lot of options, but the one that fits best, base stat wise, is Flapple or Appleton. Hopefully you'd get to pick which one. I don't know. Those are your dragon options: Flapple / Appleton, Turtonator, and Tatsugiri. Next is Electric, and obvious solution is kind of the best one. You get a Rotom, and the professor hands you either a lawnmower, oven, or washing machine. It's so simple, but so stupid, it fits right in. Up next is Fairy. Fuck Fairy. It's the first type that does not work in the slightest. There are 0 Fairy fire types at all. You know what? I'm actually going to go through all of the types that don't work, so that we don't end on something that's null and void. Fire and water both don't work because the only fire-water type is Volcanion. For a similar reason, Steel doesn't work because the only fire-steel is Heatran. And the final type that just flat out does not work is Ice, because the only Ice-fire type is Zen mode Galarian Darmanitan. If regular was also Ice-fire, 100% would have counted it. Alas, it doesn't work. Let's get into stuff that actually makes sense. Fighting. Fighting does not make sense. None of the fighting types start with the type. It has to be second or final stages only. And while you could make an argument for some other thing, I seized the opportunity to have Hisuian Decidueye, Blaziken, and Quaquaval. The 3 starter fighting birds. I mean, it's perfect, really. Moving up to flying, the only fire flying type that starts as fire flying that is not a legendary is Ballet or Oricorio. Just like with Dragon, we need to find single stages that are roughly the same BST, and thankfully both types had exactly that, being Tropius and Cramorant. What a fascinating triangle here. Up next is Ghost. Ghost does need a bit of cheating, but it's otherwise very close, because the only water ghost that is water ghost the whole time is Frillish. Unfortunately, the only fire ghost with 2 stages at all is the Chandelier line, which is a 3-stage line. We're gonna have to cut down to just Lampent and Chandelier. Now, as for the grass types, there are many options, but ultimately I just went with Sinistcha. The ghost starters are Poltergeist, Lampent, and Frillish. Up next is Grass. the first one of the normal starter types that actually matters, because there's no Volcanion. The only fire grass is Capsicid. The only water grass is a 3-stage, which is why I'm executing Lotad. Good amount of pure grass, 2 stages left, but the ones closest to the base stat total were Lurantis and Lilligant. And looking at the base forms, Petalil was closer than Fomantis. So the grass types is Petalil, Capsicid, and Lombre. My favorite type is up next, and it blessed us with a absolutely perfect round. The only grass ground and only fire ground that start as ground are the Toadstool line and the Numel line. There are a good amount of water ground type, but of them, I think Shellos was the best. Shellos is water ground, right? I'm not making that up. Shellos. Cause it feels like one that would just be water and then get the ground later. Fuck, it is. Oh, sorry. There seemed to be something wrong with my throat. So the ground starters are Toadstool, Numel, and Barboach. Normal. You were so close. All you had to do was have Bidoof be water type. But no, it's pure normal. So I have to use Bibarel and Pyroar, because Pyroar's only fire normal, and then chuck on Sourcebark. Poison! Not much to report with poison, honestly. The only fire poison that isn't Paradox is Slazzle. So looking at the 2 states, there's Fungus, and water poison, there's both Marini and Tentacle, but Toxapex just fit better. The only caveat with this one is that you would have to hard code this Salandit to be female, but that's like barely even cheating. So there, the poison starters are Fungus, female Salandit specifically, and Marini. Psychic. The only fire psychics that aren't legends or forms are Armarouge and Delphox. Thankfully, fighting psychic types with similar power to Armarouge, because Delphox is a starter, was pretty easy, as Executor and Starmie are very close to each other. And now we move on to the final type that has not already been covered, Rock type. Now the only Grass Rock and Fire Rock that start as it are 2-stage lines, being Lileep and Hisuian Growlithe. Now there are plenty of rock water types, but of the options, the strongest is Binnacle, so those are the rock choices. Lileep, Hisuian Growlithe, and Binnacle. This was a stupid video idea. Even the ones that do work, some of them are wildly unbalanced, like Rocket and Bug. Because who is picking Paris? That was the video. If you want to know my choices, Sizzlipede, Houndour, Tatsugiri, no real preference in Rotom, Hisuian Decidueye, Cramorant, Lampent, Petalil, Toadstool, Bibarel, I guess, Marini, Starmie, and Hisuian Growlithe. Let me know what ones you'd pick, and this has been Jorp the Catches.